Have you ever seen a witch wearing a kimono? Well, today we're going to talk about Yama Uba, a scary witch from Japanese folklore who just so happens to wear one. Japanese folklore is full of all sorts of spirits and monsters, and Yama Uba is one of the most terrifying ones. In this story, she is an old woman who lives deep in the mountains, and she has a really bad attitude. She is incredibly mean and spiteful, and she especially hates children. One day, a mother and her young child are walking through the mountains when they come across Yama Uba's house. Now, normally, in these types of stories, you would be told not to go inside a creepy old lady's house. But this mother is desperate for help because her child is sick and there is nothing else that they can do. So they knock on the door and Yama Uba answers. She invites them into her home, and the mother explains that her child is sick and she was wondering if the old woman knew any remedies. But Yama Uba just laughs at her and tells her that she's out of luck. She then shoves the mother outside and slams the door in her face. So now the mother is even more worried about her sick child, and she starts to cry. When Yama Uba hears the mother crying outside, she comes to the window and taunts her, telling her that she should just give up on her child and walk away. The mother, desperate to save her child, begs Yama Uba to help her. But the old woman just laughs at her and goes back to whatever she was doing. The next morning, the mother's child is still sick, and she decides to go back to the old woman's house to beg for her help. This time, Yama Uba opens the door and invites the child inside. The mother is terrified that her child is going into that house alone, but she also knows that she has to do what she has to do to save her child. Inside the house, Yama Uba tells the child that she will only help him if he can answer 3 riddles correctly. The child agrees, and the first riddle is, what is always coming but never arrives? The child doesn't know the answer, and Yama Uba tells him that the answer is tomorrow. She then locks the child in a cupboard and starts to eat his flesh. But he manages to escape and run back to his mother. The child tells his mother that he almost got eaten by Yama Uba, and she is furious. She takes the child back to the house and demands that the old woman hand over the rest of her flesh. Of course, Yama Uba refuses, and she tries to eat the mother instead. But the mother is able to fight off the old woman and runs away. Now, both the mother and the child have learned their lesson. They stay away from the old woman in her horrible house, and they live happily ever after. Okay, before we get into the lessons, I want to talk about something. Whenever you see a witch flying on a broomstick or a vacuum cleaner in fiction, it is most likely inspired by the motif of witches flying on gourd-shaped vessels in Japanese folklore. It's also very likely that the image of the witch wearing a kimono that you may have had in your mind when listening to this story was also inspired by Japanese folklore. But since there are no images of Yama Uba that I could find, I'll let you decide what she looks like. Maybe she wears a red or blue kimono, or maybe she doesn't even wear one at all. In this story, Yama Uba is depicted as a very cruel and evil witch. She does not even give the mother and child a chance to explain themselves, and she is quick to resort to violence. She is also very powerful, and it seems like there is no one who can stop her from doing whatever she wants. However, despite all of this, she is ultimately defeated by the mother's love for her child. She is willing to do anything to save her child, even put herself in danger. And this is what ultimately leads to Yama Uba's defeat. This story teaches us that no matter how evil and powerful someone may seem, there is always hope for good. And that even the most dangerous monsters can be defeated with love and determination. I hope you enjoyed this story. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe. I also have a podcast where I read horror stories. The link is in the description, and I would love it if you went to check it out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.